Welcome back to another episode of the Real Friends Podcast. Today we have one returning person and one brand new guy. So Kyle and Nate, thanks for coming in. This is the first episode we've ever recorded in the studio. So pretty exciting.
I'll say. I mean, we immediately ran into technical issues, but that's what happens when you have when you're undergoing something of this magnitude.
Yeah.
There's always stumbles along the way.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it would work to have two mics within 2 feet of each other.
Well, it certainly would have looked cool, and that is what we're going for here.
So we still have it in here for the appearance. So we are here to talk about Unforgiven today. I told you that Nate was going to come on for it, and Kyle's here too.
I'm also here.
I mean, let's just hop into it. So, Unforgiven, 1992. We just got done watching it. It was Kyle's first time, my second time, and Nate's seen it a bunch. So, give me impressions. Kyle, what's your impression very first time you watched it?
So, I know that Nate is a big cowboy movie kind of person, and I can really respect when Nate's excited about one of them, because it can be hard going into one where you're just like, this is going to be about some dirty men blowing each other's brains out, or best case scenario, it's about some dirty men blowing each other's brains out with the best cinematography you've ever seen. So I never know what to expect out of any normal Western movie, but this one is a pretty cool introduction to it, because it is unlike apparently pretty much every other Western. You're dealing with a protagonist who is not in any way heroic, and who spends most of the movie getting the shit kicked out of him. That was a very unexpected as an energy into this big dick cowboy movie. That's what I thought it was going to be, and it really wasn't. So that was kind of my that was my introduction to it, is just being oh, this is it's remarkable that Clint Eastwood managed to direct himself to be a kind of a shitty guy at everything. He's not good at fighting. He's virtuous, I guess, but for the most part, he's kind of a fuck up.
Yeah.
That was my introduction to it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because and the fact that it is Clint Eastwood, I feel like this movie is what would happen if the man with no name decided to give it all up and stop fighting, stop drinking, and settle down. He was this big bad kind of classic Western outlaw, murdered a bunch of people, a real mean, stone cold son of a bitch killer. and
the most adjectively described killer in all of existence.
Yeah, just everyone it's almost like the telephone game with what happened at the beginning, where it's each time William Money is talked about, someone adds another adjective.
Yeah,
it's he's a stone cold killer, he's a badass stone cold killer,
he's a rotten son of a bitch, son of a bitch, and his motherfucker, and it's guys, we know he's a badass.
Well, it's very Mel Gibson's The Patriot. Right, this dude who was a badass before, potentially in the war. He's probably old enough to have been in the war, right?
Oh yeah,
this takes place in 1880. So
he probably fought in the Civil War in some capacity.
So Mel Gibson's whole thing was his character fought in the French and Indian War, and he was this badass, but now he has a family and he's settled down.
Yeah,
very, very similar.
Yeah,
I thought this movie ripped, dude.
Oh my God,
I realized, I guess I should have said this is my first and a half time watching it, because I've seen 75% of this before and had no idea.
Yeah, no, a lot goes on at the end.
Yeah,
he is spoilers. He is unforgiven by the end. Nobody will forgive him.
Yeah, he was unforgiven at the beginning, still unforgiven later on.
Yeah, and it's appropriate that the movie begins and ends with the same shot. He's equal amounts of unforgiven in those scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get into it a little bit. I mean, we have at the very beginning we have the Star Wars scrolling words telling you who this guy is, which I didn't really care for. I know Kyle said the same thing. It's a little annoying.
See, I don't I honestly, it didn't even register with me. I didn't I at least for me, I thought it was effective to it's the first time that anyone talks about the protagonist. It's like someone being worried about that like he's gonna
absolutely
like kill their daughter.
Yeah.
So like I think that that's it's a couple sentences to like set up like who he is, the time frame, and like I don't know, I didn't mind it just because it was so quick.
Yeah.
It was just like scroll. This is like
it was very quick.
You get enough that it's like, okay, like this. He's not gonna ride into the town and save the day. He's not gonna be like the good guy. Like I at least for that I didn't hate it.
Well, for me, I just didn't know who it was about. Like,
sure.
There's a solid
that was
like
confusing.
10 or 15 minutes until like the kid comes to visit him and says his name.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
right.
like my whole thing was, is this who we're talking about, or is it someone else?
Yeah,
right.
Like, is this a
Fair
prequel thing? I didn't know.
I was so I do appreciate how effective that is as exposition, because like that's not really what the story's about. It's just our lead into it. But if anything, it's the fact that it was all conveyed in a really uninteresting way that made that information kind of like it just skipped right off my brain.
Unless it's like a foreign movie and it's all subtitled, reading in a movie is never fun.
Yeah,
absolutely. Unless you're reading like Easter eggs,
Sure.
like, that's fun. Like if you're watching our video, you can see Ted's Creamy Root Beer behind you, which I recently found out can stay in the movie studio because that's in the Sandlot. It's in the kids' room.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I find that intro, I wanted more from it, in the sense that I feel like a lot of the movie of Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven 1992, is mostly just people describing how much of a badass this guy is until you watch him do horrendous things by the end because he is broken.
Yeah.
Like it works. But I can't help but feel like there might be better ways to do it than just talk about how much of a badass he is.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the movie isn't about him being like this rootin' tootin' cowboy who's like gonna, like ride in and save the day at the last minute. Like it puts a lot of work into making him really vulnerable. He actually feels like he's past it.
Yeah.
He's not just like, I'm done with it. But then he picks up a gun and he's like, and then, like he shoots like 16 peas out of the air that his son throws up.
It's not a Jason Statham movie.
Yeah.
It's where it's like, no, I'm done doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, my friend got taken. I gotta snap back into my military training.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that at all.
Absolutely not. No, it's about a man who hasn't shot this kind of gun. He has a lot of problems with the Schofield or whatever it's called, like whatever that rifle is.
Just the 6-shooter.
The 6-shooter. He's like, he had problems with the pistol, but then he pulls out his double barrel and he's just like, bam, like one and done. But yeah, there's an opportunity when the threat to the whores is introduced. It's like a really effective introduction into the movie because it sets like a very grim tone.
Well, let's talk about it. Right?
Let's do it.
So we see like what we talked about, the opening credits, and then we go to Big Whiskey, Wyoming in 1880, and we're taken to a brothel, right? And it's an old billiards room, but they burnt the billiard table in 72. So you go in, you say you want some billiards, and you're gonna have sex. But the movie gets super brutal just immediately. Mm-hmm. Like there's a small man in mind and endowment that is attacking this woman because she laughed at his, and I have to quote it, she giggled. We have to make sure we say giggled, at his teensy little pecker.
And she didn't mean nothing by it.
Right. She didn't mean nothing by it. No, she just giggled at his teensy pecker. And of course, he had to attack her. And he pulls out a knife and just starts cutting her face up.
For minutes.
Yeah,
it's a brutal sequence.
Long. It's long enough to just be uncomfortable enough too. You know what I mean? If it was one swipe, it'd be like, all right, like shoot this guy. But then he kept going, and you are in the mindset now that you want him to die, and you're hoping at some point in this movie he dies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, suddenly there's retribution to be made there, and there is like a really there's like a pretty powerful like ambiguity to how that first scene feels, because first it's horrifying and you're like, oh my god, this guy's a terrible bastard, and then this sheriff comes along, what's his name?
Oh gosh, Little Bill.
Okay,
Bill.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's important.
The Gene Hackman, R.I.P.
Yeah, I'm going to
legendary Gene Hackman.
This guy rolls up, and you think like, oh, like a level-headed sheriff ready to dispense some justice because he's not just shooting people and like mowing people down. But then like it really doesn't click until later in the movie as you watch him continue to make decisions, just how much of a fuckhead he is.
Yeah, but we should get it at the beginning, and like thinking about it now, like the idea that he didn't even want to come. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's coming across the street and he's like, I thought you could handle this, to his deputy. Like, he didn't want to be there.
Right.
And then the first question he asks is she gonna die? Not, is she okay? Nothing like that. Just, is she gonna die?
Yeah.
Like, we should have known right then he was a piece of shit.
You're right. And then the only thing that he has in response to those people is like, you're going to give this guy who I'm considering you as property of, you have to give him some horses. Yeah. Like, the woman who was attacked receives, like, no help at all. Nothing is directed towards her. And,
And you can talk on this more than both of us, I'm sure, but, like, the typical thing in a Western, right, is the sheriff is the good guy.
Yeah.
So we go into this movie seeing him like, oh no, he's a good guy. We'll figure it out and all these things.
Yeah. At least like the sheriff is like, it's either like the sheriff is like, I need the help of this cowboy in the white hat to solve the problem, or the sheriff is like evil and super corrupt and like, in the pocket of some industrialist.
But that's obvious, right? Like,
yeah,
we know that from the billing, basically.
Yeah, you know, typically like the old school westerns, like if the sheriff shows up, they're either a totally good guy and like on John Wayne's side, or they're like cartoonishly like mustache twirling, evil and corrupt. But yeah, Little Bill is kind of like, we don't know right away. It could go either way.
That's nearly every person in this movie.
But then we know immediately when he decides to not do anything,
nothing,
to get like any kind of actual justice. Like the men who committed the act have to do something for someone who wasn't even involved.
Yeah,
it really. It almost got me at first, but like, it made me think that it was justice or something approaching it. Because the fact that this guy says like, we don't need to just blow people's brains out. Right. These guys should give you something. Losing their lives won't benefit you.
Haven't we seen enough blood?
That seemed like a really level-headed decision. And at first I'm like, hell yeah, Little Bill.
Until we see how he interacts with anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the context of the rest of the movie. Like, first it looks like he's dispensing justice evenly without hatred in his heart.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the man is nothing but hatred and malice and like ill intent towards everyone that he puts in prison, which I'm sure we'll talk about more as we progress.
So, I mean, obviously it ends, like we talked about, them talking about the fine and things like that. And then we snap back to the guy from the beginning. And he's working with pigs.
In the mud.
He's in the slop, like in the disgusting mud. It's an old Clint Eastwood, and then a kid comes riding up and... you don't look like a rootin' tootin' ass kicking, bubblegum chewing son of a bitch.
Cases, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Stone cold killer.
Yeah, exactly. And then, he tells the kids to take care of the pigs, and he heads inside to talk to this kid. And I love the Schofield kid, especially like how he describes the cowboys cutting up the girl. Because all that happened, and it's bad, I'm not saying it's bad, but all that happened was they cut her face up. He comes in and he's like, they cut out her eyeballs, cut off her ears, cut off her teats.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because we see that scene at the beginning, and then when we go back to him, I'm like, I don't know how that's going to fit into anything. I'm like, is it going to be kind of like Lord of the Rings where it's two separate storylines that are going side by side? But he immediately is like, yeah, I'm going to kill these guys that cut up that whore. And so you're immediately sucked in. So I thought it was great. Like you were talking about earlier with the game of telephone, like there are so many, I think about this all the time. There are so many stories throughout history that I don't know what the real truth is, because it's been passed down different ways, and they've added teats, they've added the ears,
always the teats.
You know what I mean? Like they've added all these things, and I don't know what's actually real and what isn't.
That's the thing about history, isn't it? It's a lot of telling and retelling. Like, even that being a brutal, rendition of the Wild West is still very Hollywoodized. I'm sure. Like, there's a romance to this man's, his solemnity, I suppose. Yeah. Like there is like you're compelled by him because he's like, this is a virtuous man in a rotten, no good, scum fucking, dirty dogging world, and that just makes him like a really interesting character. I do think it is worth mentioning at this point, like having set up like the initial conflict is that William, just some guy, hog farmer, nobody who used to be somebody, is like on the trail of some sons of bitches who harmed a woman and were caused useless violence. All of that is like about the prostitutes, but it's like the prostitutes get like 10 or 15 cumulative minutes of screen time, despite it being like about their suffering. Like they're like pretty obviously just kind of like the plot convenience to like have William to have something to be mad about.
Well, and the first time I saw this, like, we go from her getting her face cut up to all of them in a room together, like plotting. I thought that's what we were gonna get.
I wanted more of that. Honestly,
I thought it was going to be mostly that with just the dudes thrown in for the violence.
Yeah, and then William is like approaching. William is approaching them in order to like help or whatever the plot was going to be. This is like what I imagined the plot could be. And like that would have been badass because it would have felt like the bastards in Inglourious Bastards. That movie is like 70% not them, but 30% them showing up, and it's fucking awesome. Like that, they're so exciting because like when they show up, that like they're such a force, even though they are just people. And like that's kind of where I thought Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven was going. With William, is him being like you see him approaching the plot. Meanwhile, like these prostitutes are just trying to survive, and then he's just like, and then he just blows some fools away, like little
blasts.
Little Wayne or Bill. Just like he's like standing on the top of the sheriff's station, going, "I'll get you, William," and then he like pokes him between the eyes with a 6-gun, 1,000 yards.
Does not happen.
That's not what the movie is about. In case you're wondering. But that seems like where it could have gone.
Sure.
Until it decided to make William truly flawed, not a 6-gunner.
But what the actual movie does then, after this kid presents the idea to William, he's like, "Sorry, I'm not going with you. I'm staying with my family." His son comes back from the pig pen and he goes, "Pa, I can't move those damn pigs." And do you know how many times I've said that exact same line working on my friend Christian's pig farm? I don't say Dad, I say Christian, but I'm like, I can't move these damn pigs. And the pigs I move are substantially smaller than those gluttons. So, like, I feel you, dog. I feel you.
Those children are always close to your mind. The plight of those poor hog children.
And then you talked about it some, like you talked about the shooting the can, right? And struggling to shoot. He's... After the kid leaves, he goes out and he's messing with the pigs and falls on his face again, finds out more pigs are sick, and he's just tired of his life. And he sees the Schofield kid riding away in the distance, and he's getting FOMO, right?
Yeah.
That's really what it is. So he goes out and starts practicing shooting a can, and we were talking about this during the movie. He's practicing shooting the can with the 6-shooter. He can't hit it. So then he goes inside and he gets a shotgun and blows it away. The amount of times Nate and I have gone shooting together, and that's exactly what I do, is unbelievable. Like, we're trying to use our 12 or 22s, and I keep missing, so I just load a 12-gauge shell and blow the bottle away.
Yeah, but we do that just for fun. We're not preparing to go riding on a killing or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we are not Clint Eastwood from Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven.
Thankfully.
Yes.
Every day I'm thankful neither of you are Clint Eastwood from Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven.
But that is affected. Like he is like not like a killer like that anymore. Like he can't really.
We don't actually know how many years. Well, I guess he says it's been 11 years since he killed someone.
Yeah.
But we don't actually know how many years it's been since he's just been settled in with her. Like his wife is the one that got him away from all these things, and that's at least been 3 years since she died.
Yeah.
So maybe
10,
18, maybe sometime in like the 1870s, like mid 1870s,
right after the Civil War.
Yeah.
Like I'm picturing this dude came out of the Civil War a son of a bitch, and like settled into the Old West for like a year or two and found his woman.
Yeah.
But it's shown by that. It's shown by my favorite part of the movie with him struggling to get on his horse.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's
been a long time since I've been in the saddle myself.
Yeah.
Another incredible way that Clint Eastwood doesn't mind making his character a bit of a dullard.
Yeah.
You know, like he literally can't get on his horse. He's not that cool. And the movie puts a lot of work in him, just making him a very normal person.
Yeah, he like every time he tries to get on his horse, he struggles. The you goddamn fucking son of a whore. Sorry, old horse. Like there's that scene. Like I don't think he either struggles to get on the horse or falls off his horse like
constantly,
like all the time. Every time we see him get on, he falls off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he finally gets on the horse and he heads to his friend Ned Logan, Morgan Freeman's house.
Classic.
And he tells Ned Logan the story, but he adds that they cut their fingers off, making these dudes just the absolute worst dudes. And it's funny because the movie presents the idea as they want the bounty, but then it also presents the idea as they're trying to be like chivalrous men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like, oh, we can't let that happen to women.
Yeah,
Like,
there's like a certain level of virtue that the movie is like trying to display in these characters to make them like, you know, the better alternative of murderer. Like you can kind of support their mission because like one of the big things about William is that he is virtuous, like in the ways that Clint Eastwood values virtue. You know, like he doesn't take a free one from the one prostitute who was offering like his friends did. He remains faithful to his wife even though like she's gone, and he tries to like not drink for her. Like he is like a very virtuous man. But that like that feeling of virtue starts to feel like so distant by the end of the movie. Like suddenly like it is still him, but like that this is like who he used to be.
Yeah, it almost seems like, cause I don't get the feeling that he like took the job because he like secretly wanted to like start killing again. Like,
not at all.
You do get the feeling that he like all right, I need the money. Also, this was just like unnecessary violence.
Yeah.
And as you know, him being a man who committed a lot of unnecessary violence, it does make sense and like feel real that he would be like, okay, this is something like worth doing. But then it, in a weird way, by the end, like that initial like actual like trying to do some good kind of justifies him being the stone cold rootin' tootin' son of a bitch that he used to be.
Because it ultimately, you know, the fact that he went into it for the money. He wasn't just like going around being a chivalrous man. That's pretty realistic.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
But like, you know, by the end of the movie, we've heard a little bit from the prostitutes, and they're like, you know, it's $1 a hump. They have literally humped 1,000 men 1,000 different times. To make that money that they're going to give to these.
It's more than that because I guarantee you Skinny takes most of it.
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
They probably
That's
get like
a good point.
20 cents on the dollar, if that.
That is an excellent way of thinking about it. You're right.
Because they, you know, the Skinny goes to talk to the sheriff about the bounty, right? So we're skipping ahead a little bit. So like right after this scene, we head back into Big Whiskey, and Skinny, the pimp of the whorehouse, is, you know, attacking the leader of the horse and is like, you know, how'd you get that money, all this kind of stuff, because they have been telling everyone that's come through town that we'll give $1,000 to whoever kills the two guys that assaulted our girl, right? So as soon as this happens, the very next scene, Skinny heads to the sheriff's house and tells him that, you know, the girls are offering money to these cowboys and all these things, which puts him on the defensive because the sheriff, I don't know what he is. I really don't. Like, I don't understand him. Is it like Big Whiskey is this utopia that like they don't like outsiders at all, and so they're trying to just keep things the way they are? I don't know. I don't understand him.
I get the.
I think it like, because I don't want to skip ahead too much, but like later on, English Bob like.
Oh, that's the next thing.
Okay,
yeah,
so like do we want to keep talking about the sheriff, or do we want to talk about English Bob?
Do English Bob, and it'll help.
Okay,
you'll talk about both of
like
them.
English Bob. He's on the train talking about how, because what president was it? Garfield. Garfield had been shot recently, and English Bob was talking about how the majesty of the aristocracy would never make someone want to kill them, and that kind of ruffles the feathers of some other cowboys on the train, and we see English Bob shoot a bunch of pheasants out of the air. It's to show,
with a pistol.
With a pistol.
It's hard to shoot pheasants with a shotgun.
Yeah,
and he's shooting them with a pistol.
He's a badass.
and he's a badass for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah, he's going into Big Whiskey to collect this bounty, and that brings him on a collision course with Little Bill.
Yeah. So talk about it. Give us what, because it's gonna help me to listen to you guys talk about Little Bill, because I really don't understand him at all.
I think so there's a sign. There's county ordinance that when you go into Big Whiskey you have to surrender your firearms, and English Bob does not do that.
Do we think that's new because of the bounty going on, or you think that's
that
all the time thing?
That was probably there. Yeah. I feel like
I get the strong impression that was like a Little Bill OG that he introduced into the town for the purposes of getting to be the town bully,
and just now they're super enforcing it. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
they always have too. I don't know.
It seems like Little Bill has always been like this.
Yeah, that's that we were talking about that. So English Bob has a bunch of guns on him, and I think Little Bill just kind of because English Bob says that he thought he was dead, so maybe Little Bill was a bit of a bad man back in the day. Maybe he did one bad thing or something. Maybe robbed. I don't know. I got the feeling that Little Bill wasn't always the straight and narrow sheriff guy for whatever reason. Just his interaction with English Bob, that it seemed like they knew each other from some shady stuff. And even
I feel like they've always been on opposite sides though, from the way they talk to each other. So I'm picturing Little Bill as a dirty Wyatt Earp.
Wyatt Earp.
Well, yeah, yeah.
That's a really good point, that they've always been kind of Little Bill was a little more the law, and his sense of I'm a sheriff, blah blah blah, I'm doing the right thing, and then English Bob being the assassin, on the other side of the law.
His whole job is just
he works for the railroad shooting Chinese guys, for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah. The people building your railroad, you're shooting them, whatever.
Yeah.
So English Bob is this kind of badass gunslinger guy, and Little Bill uses his power as sheriff and all his chicken shit deputies to just beat the shit out of English Bob. And I feel did Little Bill do that to everyone who came through Big Whiskey who happened to have a gun? Were there just honest cowboys who were we need to rest in Big Whiskey, but there's this ordinance, we're gonna give up our guns. Let's go see the sheriff, and he's just what the fuck, and beats the shit out of him.
That's why I asked when I asked, because I feel like this isn't an always ordinance. I feel like this was put up when he heard about this.
That could be, because I don't think we see that sign until after the bounty is put out.
Right.
Yeah,
I feel like it was put up for this situation because, and he even says he takes the guns from English Bob, right, and then just beats the fuck out of him, just in the street, and he goes, and you think I'm attacking you? I'm not. I'm talking to everyone else, because what he's doing is he's making an example out of you. If you come to Big Whiskey with these intentions, you're gonna get messed up. Right,
you will not help these women that are putting out the bounties. Just trying to quash that entirely.
The women who actually had something bad happen to them, you're not going to come help them. I'm not going to help them as the sheriff. That's not my job.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do it either. And if you come here, I'm going to beat the ever living shit out of you. He didn't even whip the dudes that assaulted the women.
He didn't do anything.
He just let them go. But now these people, just because they have a gun and want to help, they're getting the shit kicked out of them.
It's that he just wants that power to just totally no one's gonna even think about trying to do this,
and we should talk about Gene Hackman, right, because Gene Hackman plays Little Bill. Gene Hackman, in nearly every movie he was in, he commanded the scene every time he was on the stage. Like Kevin Costner even said it. Like, he said he commanded every second of every scene he was ever in. And yeah, he just usually plays a real tough badass. That's what he is in this. He's a badass kind of piece of shit.
Yeah, very much.
Little Bill is a bastard because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about actually like helping the people in the town. He just wants to. He wants them to fear him. Yeah, he wants the fear.
He loves that they're all around watching as he beats the hell out of them.
The whole town's circled around.
Yeah, and we were talking about it during the movie. That's why his deputies are such chicken shits, because he can be the alpha. Like, that's what he wants.
Even though he's a bad carpenter.
maybe you're right. Maybe he wasn't a gang and he was like second or third fiddle. And this is him, like, making up for that now.
Maybe.
Like,
he could have just been a thug for the American government his whole life, and it's functionally the same thing, especially in the Old West.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it is also interesting and worth mentioning how, like, the movie puts a lot of work into, like, making Little Bill a bastard by like having him not help the women, by having him like just kick the ever loving shit out of a soon disarmed man, and then another pretty bad example that we'll talk about momentarily of his violence. But like it's especially bizarre to me how like both the prostitutes who are like that, like they're in like parts of the movie, but you don't really get to know them that well. They're just like kind of like the group that needs help. Yeah. Like they show up, they get victimized by him. The plot kind of puts him aside for a while, and then what's his face? Bulldog Bob, whatever the hell his name is.
English Bob.
Thank you. That's the one. When he shows up into town and gets the shit kicked out of him, what happens? He gets carted out of the plot. He's gone now. The people that are being like victimized by the sheriff are just interestingly like kind of moved out of the way of the plot for a little while. So like you see them suffering, you're motivated by them suffering, and then they just get rid of them.
Well, and it does something beautiful though too, because like before he's carted out, like he's in the jail cell, right? And we quickly find out that he's just as big of a piece of shit as Little Bill is. Yeah. Through him telling the story of shooting that guy in the guts. Mm-hmm. Like, he has this dude, Mr. Beauchamp, like traveling around with him, writing a book about, his escapades. Turns out Little Bill was along for a lot of those and knows none of them are accurate. Right? So, like, English Bob is also a piece of crap. Like, this movie is just showing, I feel like, ambiguity in everyone. Yeah. And then there's also like the way off the end terrible people too. Like no one is a good guy. Yeah. The good guys are the whores, and they're like
like the women in the whorehouse are like the only good people, and they're literally angels. There's nothing at all wrong with them. They do nothing wrong the entire movie. They're just like, oh, and then one of them, the cut up lady. Such a weird way of putting it. Delilah. Delilah helps William, and like she's basically like, hello, William, I am your virtue machine. And I'm going to tell you about all like how you're a good person. And he's just like, thanks.
Yeah, he literally says, I thought you was an angel.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and it's like it's not about them. I get it, but it would have been more interesting if we got to know them more.
Yeah, I agree. Just something as opposed to just being like the group that needs help, but like they don't like they do like throw mud at the cowboy, like they don't like it seems like they do have at least a little bit of agency. I'm not saying it's like a feminist movie or anything like that, but like it like fair. It doesn't feel like gross or like gratuitous. Like obviously what happens to Delilah is horrible, but like even that, like, the sequence is effective. It doesn't feel, like, gratuitous and, like, that it's, like, indulging in this horrible thing. Like, but I absolutely agree that, like, there should have been something to help us get to know the sex workers a little better. Like,
I feel like there's just a lot of storylines in this, and it's already a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, but the thing is, I do feel like certain sequences could have been shortened. Like, I think that the Bobby Bulldog Man, which I'm just gonna keep calling him because I genuinely keep forgetting his name.
I like BB.
The BB. Like how his sequence of getting the shit kicked out of him is extremely long.
Yeah. It's
like
a quarter of the movie. I feel like from when we meet him on the train until he leaves, I feel like it's a 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's a lot, and you were talking about it when we were watching the movie. It endears us to him so much, and immediately he's just nothing.
Yeah,
he's just gone. Like, I put a curse on your town. And he's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't feel like we needed that much time with him. I feel like it's because of the actor they got.
Yes.
They were giving him his run.
Absolutely, and if anything, I just wanted to see more of that.
Yeah.
He was such
Give
a
me
highlight.
a movie with him, kind of like Landon Ricketts and Red Dead.
Yeah.
I want a Landon Ricketts specific game. Like, give me a, I mean, the actor is now gone, but like, I wanted a movie of just him doing his stuff. That'd be funny. You have a guy following along, writing down stories.
Yeah,
we get flashbacks of the actual events, and you're a real piece of shit. Like, that's super interesting.
That actually, that sounds really cool. Like, as a framing device.
Yeah.
And the character of WW he's like the writer, he's documented the Duck of Death, his book about English Bob, and like he kind of like the way that he like perpetuates the myth of these like stone cold, like lightning fast gunslingers and like these stone cold killers or whatever is like the reality, like what he's peddling in his stories, and then the reality are like so different. But he wants to like keep that going. Jumping ahead to a little bit to the end when he's like asking a million questions about like the gunfight at the very end. He's like, he's like just so enamored and like wrapped up in the violence, like this really kind of like gritty in the mud violence he wants to like put up on a pedestal and make it this grand poetic thing.
I'm not convinced that's not actually how it was either. Like, I'm sure that's a lot of what actually happened.
Like dime novels and stuff. Like, in the for sure,
for
sure.
No, 100%.
Like, I would be willing to bet that there is not like a single actual fact in any like dime novel about
maybe Davy Crockett, but even Davy Crockett seems a little. I mean,
the fact that like, all right, this dime novel about Jesse James is true in that it is Jesse James was a real guy, but other than that, it's all fiction.
It's it's literally like that to this day.
Yeah.
Like, the movie is commenting on how like we are doing the same thing in that era when like cowboy movies were really especially popular. That violence was like it was like a spectacle.
Yeah,
like
watching a guy come in and like just killing entire towns worth of people.
Open range when Kevin Costner just walks out and shoots everyone.
Yeah, like these clean-faced, well-fed men who have apparently been traveling on horseback for months, if not their entire lives, and they're like so virtuous and like they're helpful and chivalric. They're basically like traveling knights, only they're hard-bitten outside men. It's like, nah, dude, they were like homeless guys with horses who carried everything they owned on their backs, including the guns they used to kill people.
Yeah.
And this movie is directly commenting on that. It wants to dispel that notion to a certain degree. Yeah. Like, there's some romanticism to cowboys in that movie, but like it's mostly showing kind of how it might have actually been.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's get our heroes into town now, right? Because right after Wild Bill, Buffalo Bill, English Bill, Buffalo Bill,
Wild Buffalo Bill.
We did talk about how this movie just adds adjectives, so we'll just keep pheasant killing, wild buffalo killing, English Bulldog Bob. He's out of town. And our heroes come. So Will, Ned, and the kid. I love that they call him the kid.
Yeah.
They arrive in town during a really bad storm, and they enter the saloon. So Ned and the kid are upstairs getting jiggy with it with the prostitutes, and Will is downstairs, and little Bill just attacks him. And like, Will is definitely sick from being in the rain for so long, and he's refusing whiskey. Like. Yeah, he's very sick,
which is that's a big thing throughout the movie. Is that Will always talks about like, no, I'm not gonna drink anymore. My wife wouldn't want it. She like taught me how to not drink anymore.
Yeah.
I was all the times I did bad shit. I was drunk. I don't remember a lot of it. Like I'm not drinking, and like him like shivering there, and he just pushes the glass away. Like he's not gonna drink anymore.
Yeah.
Like that his like relationship with it throughout the movie is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Little Bill comes in and sees Will and knows he has a gun, so he confronts him, takes the gun, and beats the ever-living shit out of him. And before they can get to Ned and the kid escape through the window, right, and head out. So
while William literally crawls on his stomach out of the front of the bar,
just getting
which,
annihilated.
by the way, didn't have little swing doors.
Yeah, no,
they had a real fucking door.
Regular doors.
Because that's how a normal building would work. Stupid little doors. What's that gonna keep out? It's raining. It'd be terrible.
That's funny. So yeah, they do get Will then, and they take him to a barn outside of town where Wikipedia, it's so funny the way they say this, where they and the prostitutes nurse him back to health.
For sure.
I mean, that's what happens.
Someone's nursing. That's for
yeah.
sure.
So
yeah, so just the scene, like, yeah, they bring Will back, and then it's like the next day or two, and Ned and the kid were just like the scene starts with them having just finished up a free one,
getting their free ones,
getting an advance from the working girls. Right next to a sick Ned, or a sick Will, just laying there, kind of dying, and they're just getting an advance real quick.
Well, Ned was curious what Will was up to all those years. You just used your hand.
That's like there is this isn't exactly like a an upbeat like fun time movie.
But there is a lot of humor.
There is like humanity to it, like the scene where Will and Ned are just riding along, and they're Ned asks Will if he ever goes into town. Will's like to sell a hog or get supplies, and Ned asks if he ever like gets a woman, and he's like, no, I don't miss it that much. And Ned asks if he just uses his hand instead, and it's just like that's what two like men, that's what men talk about now. Like that's definitely what two cowboys would talk about on the trail. And so it's just like those little moments are like it adds humanity and adds a little bit of levity in this movie that's kind of dark and heavy at times.
And the cool part about it is good movies have that stuff in, but keep you on point. You know, like because immediately after they're getting shot at.
It doesn't feel like added in after the fact. Right. It feels very organic.
It's not cut and post.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It is very much worth knowing as well that if you haven't seen this movie before, hearing Morgan Freeman ask you how you masturbate is such a unique experience. No other movie is going to give that to you. So give it a listen. If only for that reason, you might discover something about yourself.
This role, I know he didn't have a huge role in this movie, but I loved Morgan Freeman in this movie.
My god,
yeah, he's great.
He was really, really good. Clint Eastwood was his typical Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, but the thing
Gene
is,
Hackman's very good.
Yeah, there is more going on with Clint Eastwood's character in this than say like A
Dirty
Fistful
Harry.
of Dollars or Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Like this. He's doing his Clint Eastwood thing, but I feel like he's very good. Like he does suit the role very well.
He was a grizzled cowboy at that point.
Yeah, I mean he's he.
So it's interesting and a very smart decision of the writer to have the movie is just like well written enough that Clint Eastwood being kind of a flat actor is incorporated into the character. Like that is who this guy is. He is extremely traumatized. He's been a hard case his entire life, and he clearly is like if he's capable of feeling things anymore, he seems to have locked that deep inside of him. Like he stopped drinking. He probably just lives in a very like gray world. Yeah. He's clearly not a happy man, especially with not who he used to be. He lost the woman that he loved. It makes sense that he's like but like the things that he says and the people around him like the way they interact with him, it's all really compelling, even though it's not super overblown, aside from a few choice characters being caricatures. But like your center three are they're like pretty believably written, all of them.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
So you talk about the writing, so I wanted to look up who the writer is. So his name is David Webb Peoples. He did his, well, I don't think it's the first ever, but it's okay. The second movie he ever wrote was Blade Runner.
What?
Yeah, he wrote Blade Runner.
Oh.
And then a bunch of movies I don't really know. He wrote 12 Monkeys. And then Unforgiven, it looks like, was the last movie he wrote. That doesn't sound right, though. Because 12 Monkeys was after Unforgiven.
Well,
I see. There was an Unforgiven something else. Oh, it's a Japanese Western.
Oh, cool.
He wrote that too.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, no. Apparently he's still around, but he was born in 1940. So
it's very funny to name a country in the East a Western movie. I would just say it's a Western Japanese movie. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So that's your writer.
It's pretty interesting. I think the focus on what you kind of imagine Clint Eastwood characters should be is used really well.
Yeah.
That expectation of like what a Clint Eastwood cowboy is gonna be, I think, kind of plays into and works really well with the expectation of like what English Bob is gonna be, what Little Bill is gonna be as these like Western archetypes, and they're not really that at all.
Yeah.
The same way that like I said, like it seems like William Money could be like a guy like this could be what The Man with No Name could have possibly done, you know, but like he does not feel like the typical cowboy protagonist.
Yeah, no, not at all. This doesn't feel like a typical Western. Like this is probably one of the best Westerns ever to come out, and it doesn't feel like a Western.
Yeah, it's like saying that like The Dark Knight Rises, the comic, the Batman v Superman origin, right? That's Dark Knight Rises. Is that right?
Yeah, The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight Returns.
Thank you. I knew I was getting it wrong. The Dark Knight Returns is like the best comic in the way that it's like kind of jumping off of what other comics, like what a comic was.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be like in contrast to that. This is the same way that's like it's one of the best Westerns because it's jumping off of like Western stereotypes.
Sure.
But like, and for that same reason, if you've never seen a Western before, you probably shouldn't start with Unforgiven.
No.
Because you will not have a good idea of what it's of the project that it's undergoing.
Yeah.
Start with Young Guns. I can't recommend Young Guns enough, dude. Watch Young Guns, yeah. Heck, we've got a lot of time tonight. We might watch it. But let's keep
Django
rolling.
Unchained, also a great Western.
Yes. I was going to say, I know you've watched Django.
Damn, I love Django.
Which is it's a spaghetti Western.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, so I was talking to, I don't even know if I was on the episode actually, but the Forest Film Club, they were talking about Tarantino and his next movie. They think he's going to wait 2 years until the 100th Oscars because he has the mindset he wants to be the best picture winner at the 100th Academy Awards.
Wow.
Yeah,
what a lofty goal.
Yeah. That's some dork ass behavior.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this year was the 97th, so it's just 2 more years.
He's so certain that he'll get it if he releases a movie.
Well, he just cast Jennifer Lawrence as the lead in it, so like it looks like he's going all out.
Do you know what it's called?
So, I have no clue. I don't even know if it has a name yet.
I'd be curious because I've definitely I would not consider myself a Tarantino fan in the way that I feel like I once did. I just like a couple of his movies a lot.
Yeah.
And I like his sensibilities as a director a lot.
Yeah.
But like in the same way that like I feel like you can like a handful of M. Night Shyamalan movies and not feel like you like M. Night Shyamalan movies as a whole.
Is there a handful of those to like, though?
Well, you know, I think I do want to watch more M. Night Shyamalan just to be certain. Cause, like,
I kind of like the one that came out last year, Trap.
I don't know that.
That's pretty good. But he cast his daughter as a really like high lead, and she's awful.
That's a shame.
Like it's like one of the, I can't remember the dude's name. I'm gonna look it up now. But the like main guy is very, very good, and then you have him like in juxtaposition to this girl who's just absolute doggy to him. So it's Josh Hartnett. is the lead.
Okay.
And yeah, it's very, very good. Basically, there's a serial killer on the loose, and he's suspected to be at this concert that Lady Raven, who is M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, is the singer. And Josh Hartnett takes his daughter to that concert, and then it goes on lockdown because the serial killer's there. And they are trying to figure out who the serial killer is. So, I like it.
It's a compelling concept. I don't dislike it.
It's pretty good. It's one of Shyamalan's better ones, I think. And, like, Kid Cudi is in it, and, like, Kid Cudi's a pretty good actor. Yeah, it's good.
Nice.
But I don't know how we got here. Oh,
That-
directors. Tarantino.
Yeah, so that was, I was, again, pinballing, it's a blast. But yeah, we got there because we were talking about how Unforgiven is kind of the best Western in the way that The Dark Knight Returns is, like, the best comic book. It needs to be, like, you need to be familiar with, like, what it's referencing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you see the good, the bad, and the ugly, that you can then watch for Unforgiven, in my opinion.
Or Sam Raimi's The Quick and the Dead, which is a great movie.
Never seen it. I would love to.
Yeah.
So many movies to see.
Gene Hackman and Leo are in that.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, yeah.
Sharon Stone.
Russell Crowe plays a priest, I believe. Like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
You might have to have us back for that
episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can be my Western fellas.
I love that.
Kyle and I are doing Beetlejuice, so
absolutely
come back whenever you want. We talk about the movie being brutal pretty much the whole way through, right? I feel like this point we're at in the movie right now, it's going to continually get more brutal to the end.
Yeah.
Like, because now they go and ambush Davy. Davy was one of the two guys in the beginning that cut up the girl. He wasn't the one that cut her up. He's definitely the one that showed remorse, but he didn't do a whole lot to stop the dude.
Yeah.
He tried, a lot smaller. So yeah, they ambush Davy. Ned has.
Yeah, it's just like it's a like such a good like anti-violence scene.
So anti-violence,
it's
dude.
just like
It's not really like exciting in the way that like a gunfight might be.
Yeah,
it's like very subdued. There's no music. It's just like the ambient sounds of like bullets ricocheting,
and him just like groaning that he's shot in the guts and stuff like that. Like this reminds me. I can't remember the name of the song.
Goddamn water.
But but the idea that Clint Eastwood makes an anti-violence movie that's this violent, right, reminds me a lot. Toby Keith made like an anti-military song at one point.
Really?
It's like taking like
interesting
the people who are so super violent, Clint Eastwood, Super America, Toby Keith, and they're doing something the exact opposite. Like towards the end of their career. Like,
wow.
Interesting.
We'll put a boot in your ass.
Yeah, well, the song's something about you never told me I'd get my ass shot at. Like, that's what it's about. Like, it's pretty funny.
I like that.
Yeah, but, yeah, so, I mean, Ned has a panic attack, can't kill the kid, because, clearly he's been out of it for a long time, too. So Will takes the gun, and Will shoots the kid in the guts, and, yeah, he dies miserably.
Yeah.
And that inspires Ned to be like, I'm done, and head home. So we think Ned is gone, all good and dandy. Mm-hmm. We snap back to, it's a little bit later, but we can speed up a little bit. Will and the kid go and take out the other guy in a very Elvis Presley situation.
Straight on the toilet.
Yeah, they shot him on the toilet.
Right in the outhouse.
Yeah, and the kid is the one that goes up to shoot him, and the kid is like struggling and can't do it.
Yeah, the whole time the kid has been talking about like
killed 5 men. How many men you killed? You know?
He asked Ned how many men he kills, and then I killed 5.
Yeah,
like I would have killed more except for my youth. Like the whole time
it was very easy to know that was not the case.
Yeah, the kid like
he was so smooth faced,
and
small.
Yeah, they call it the kid.
Yeah.
Like he's and he's not Billy. Like he's
right.
Like he wants to be like the Schofield kid is such an interesting character. Like he wants to be this like hard like
he made that up too, right? He made up his nickname.
Oh, for sure. There's no one else but him that has ever or will ever call him that.
Yeah.
He gave himself his own nickname, 100%. So yeah, it's interesting to see like he's riding with like Will and Ned who like aren't those guys anymore, or at least like trying not to be those guys anymore. And the kids there like I want to be like you, like that it's kind of sad in a way. Like I feel a little bit bad for him that he wants to be, and he can't see. He's like,
his vision is terrible.
Yeah, his vision's terrible. There's a great scene where Ned asks him, like, he makes up that there's a hawk flying above him. The kid's like, yeah, I could absolutely shoot that.
Yeah.
Ned's like, there's no hawk. Can you see it all, kid?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the writer worked with, like, military veterans on this, because you think about, like, the comparison I would draw is, like, Ned and Will are, like, Vietnam veterans that, like, were through it and don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And you have this kid that has no idea and all he wants to do is talk about it.
Yeah.
I bet it's badass.
Yeah, so, some kid who, like, wants to go to Iraq or something,
Right.
and his uncles are like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you
no,
not
you
want to
don't.
do that. Yeah.
No, you don't. He's like, no, I do. I want to, I kill people. Like, I played Call of Duty. Like, it's the same
He's
thing.
read too many penny westerns.
Yeah, the Schofield kid, he just read too many dime novels and wants to be
Yeah.
Jesse James.
It's like selling your house to buy a horse after you've seen Unforgiven. You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna go out there, beep, 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 like I'm gonna go steal that guy's house because I'm a rustler. Then you show up and then you accidentally shoot someone in the head and then you're traumatized for the rest of your life. That's the Schofield kid's story.
Yeah, it is. And then, so while this is going on, we find out that Ned was captured on his escape from town, and Little Bill takes him into the jail and flogs him repeatedly to get information about Will and the kid. This is probably my biggest problem with the movie, is how we find out what happened to him alongside Will and the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the idea that I had no idea he was dead.
Yeah, that was
like
startling.
Like, we knew Ned got beat, right? But we didn't know anything else. Like, this movie was very like this. Like, wanted to keep us all on the same track. And, like, it was weird that it took a prostitute going up and just telling him Ned was dead. Like, that, I feel about this the same way I felt about Josh Brolin in No Country for Old Men.
Oh, sure.
That I don't
just showing
see
up dead.
him die and you just show up and he's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, no country's trying to, like, do a little bit of a different thing.
Sure.
Like, No Country's its own kind of twist on a Western.
And that's
but
the
I
same
feel,
on the book. I mean, the book did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I do feel like, so do you not like how we find out about, why don't you like how we find out about Ned? Because it doesn't fit, like, with the rest of the movie. Like, you think we should have seen it?
The idea that I don't know what happens until the main character finds out it happens.
Okay.
Like, don't put me in the room with Ned at all then, if you're not going to show me what happens.
Okay,
you know what
I get you.
Like,
yeah.
Like, I want to... Because the feeling went from what it would have been was, like, sorrow from seeing, like, one of the best characters die to surprise and, like, feeling weird about it. I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely, like, for me it was like pretty shocking, just the fact that, like, we find out when Will and the kid do, that, like, that kind of blow and, like, shock was effective, at least for me, because then I didn't know, like, how the movie was gonna end. Like, there's no like saving the day. Like, they got the money, but now Ned was killed. Like, Ned was, like, needlessly killed for something he didn't even do. Like,
Right.
Ned,
and he was reluctant to go along.
Yeah, Ned-
He just
Yeah.
went along to help his buddy.
yeah,
you know?
like, it does, like it's such a gut punch. Like I feel like that's the impact on me. I feel like then I can kind of feel and see that impact, like, tenfold in Will and the kid.
So here's how I would fix it if I made this movie. And, like, Kyle and I talk a lot about the idea of show, don't tell, right?
Sure.
What I would want is her, like, let's have the same progression of things happen. Her show up, her tell them about Ned, but just tell them he was captured. And then they go to save him, and we see him dead in front of the bar.
Okay.
I think that would have been so much more powerful.
That would have been compelling. I
Yeah.
actually totally agree.
I agree.
That would have really punched you.
Yeah.
Because when she just says he's dead, I'm like, did I miss something? Like, I wanted to back it up and watch it again to make sure I didn't miss it.
That's a really good point. And if any, I think that, like, is kind of speaking to, like, the movie's bigger issue with, like, a lot of telling where showing
Yes.
probably would have been more beneficial.
I
Because like
agree.
the movie is very long, but as we just discussed earlier, there are a couple scenes that could have been shortened. I don't think to any great detriment,
Right.
and we could have like expanded on those parts, especially like
I agree.
I genuinely love the idea of like the whole of them like going towards the town could have this feeling of like this grandiose feeling of like we are gonna be cowboy heroes now.
Right.
This isn't about the
We're going
money.
to get our buddy.
This is about saving our buddy, you know, from the like this ruthless tyrant. And like the racial overtones of him being whipped were like very present. It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like I do think that was intentional to a degree. Like I
don't know with Clint Eastwood. I don't know if it was.
that's the thing. Like it genuinely was like they're gonna go there, right? Like he's a black guy in 1878. This is like fucking 15, 20 years after the Civil War.
That was something I loved about this movie is you didn't really talk about race at all. Like I thought that was good because a lot of times in westerns, especially in this time period, which you need to, you know what I mean. But it's also nice to just be able to watch a well, it's not a dumb western. I shouldn't say that, but it's just nice to watch a movie and not feel that.
Yeah,
you know.
I think there is like the way that like Morgan Freeman's character is like captured in such a brutal way is like pretty unique to Ned, which like I feel like you can easily read like a racial motivation into it. Is like I don't think the movie is necessarily making that an explicit discussion, or it would have, but like it's there, and like that is an extremely uncomfortable thing that's also motivating our virtuous protagonist to like run back to save him, and like that could have been like a really powerful anti-heroic moment, like you were saying, instead of just learning about it because somebody told them, and then they're mad and then they go right to the final battle. We actually like participate in that feeling of like what we need to save him. Oh shit, we can't save him.
Right. And then that would justify him going nuts. And what it would have done for me, I think, which I would have liked, but I'm not sure if I would have liked it. I'm trying to process it in my brain right now, is that the kid is very much suffering from the fact that I just killed someone, right? But if Ned was taken, I feel like the kid would have went to try to help get him back, and I feel like that could have made for something more compelling, because then the kid, if I'm writing this again, like rewriting it, the kid would die. Like the kid would go in to try to help him and die, and it would show like if you choose this life ends you, right? Like if this is how you choose to do your life. The ending is pretty unsatisfying, I would say, at least mostly intentionally. I think 80% it is the movie kind of showing you like, well, there's your grand act of violence. Doesn't make the protagonist feel any better. If anything, he's just a monster. That's the point.
Again.
It's called Unforgiven.
He really is not like he can't be forgiven.
Nothing changes for that character the entire time. His arc is this.
He wants to change.
Right.
Like it really seems like he might find redemption in Knife Lady. So, again, I'm sorry, I just forget her name. Delilah. That's the worst one. So Delilah, like that conversation with her, basically her like kind of seeing like, you're a good man, you are forgiven, William. Like obviously she's not actually forgiving him, but like the movie is in that way. He's doing something good and righteous.
But immediately turns back to liquor.
And not only does he turn back to liquor, but like he still gets the money, right? Like I think that is kind of like the realism of the movie kind of like kicking in. Like obviously he wants the money, but like it does also kind of cheapen the final battle a little bit, because like the fact that like Ned got killed is like that's the real like emotional motivation of the end of the movie. But like all throughout, like traveling to to kill this guy to make that money is like it's kind of a weak motivation, because our character doesn't really seem that motivated by money. We haven't seen him struggle. Like he hasn't like been in desperate need of money. Like his children aren't starving. He has a house. But
it's not working though. Like, because the kid brings it up to him multiple times, like, well, you don't look like you're flourishing. Like, you were a guy who was robbing, who was living high, doing all these things, and now you're not. Like, maybe Clint Eastwood just didn't do it well enough to show us that, but I think
or it's 11 years on.
I think it was
money's
built.
Gone.
I think it was. No, I'm saying like I don't know if Clint Eastwood showed us maybe the stakes high enough for him, but like the character was written as he really needs this. His
You're right.
Kids really need this.
I agree with that assessment.
Yeah.
I think the movie could have done a better job showing that, but the intention was
the script had it.
Yeah, it's a one last game. Oh shit, what's the term? One last job situation.
Yeah, exactly. And I would push back a little bit on you saying that it lessens the end of the movie. I think it makes the end of the movie so much more powerful.
Okay.
Like the idea that like this whole time your whole goal was to go get this money, help your family and stuff, right? And then Ned's gone, and then it's like he starts drinking whiskey again.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take this dude out. And he literally just walks in and immediately there's 50 people in there and just blows the tavern owner to death. Mm-hmm. And he's fully ready to blow the sheriff to death.
I've been blown to death.
He 100% was walking in there ready to die. Which was like, okay, so how are your kids going to get the money now? Like, what, what happens with this? Like,
it really doesn't feel like they matter by the end. Either to him or to the movie, to be honest.
I'm not convinced they're their kids. I feel like they're her kids.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
like
but
he doesn't seem like the type of man to be a dad.
Yeah, I mean the movie does, and I do kind of feel like that's more of a shortcoming of the movie than an intentional choice, because I think they did really they wanted us to think of him as a family man who cared about his kids, who really was doing this for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think the movie itself really spent a lot of time on that idea.
No,
so it just gets right into him being kind of this beat down piece of shit. Who's like not a good fighter anymore, who's like, he's overall like a very average cowboy, and the fact that he survives is genuinely impressive.
He even says to like the kid that's with them, he's like, you're the only person I've got, or something like that. It's like, you have your kids, like, but it's like it's like his wife died, Ned died, and now he has nothing else to live for.
Yeah,
it's like
you got kids. Yeah, that's, I don't know. I guess that also that's what I was left with was like that kind of feeling like, oh, I thought that was going somewhere.
Yeah.
But like the movie literally just ends on another text scroll of his horse walking away after the big fight.
Yeah.
Which like it feels like there's a lot of resolution we kind of needed to like make those elements matter. Because like otherwise,
just death.
Yeah, it's just
I feel you.
Yeah, like you see the kids in the epilogue, and he's like a haunted shell of who he once was, not better but worse, and like just some idea of like what his bastardy life is going to be like shortly after this movie.
Yeah,
I feel like that could have been valuable because that's kind of what the whole movie's building up to, is him being unforgiven.
And all it does is give us one of those scrolly Star Wars texts just saying they moved to San Francisco.
Yeah, about some. Honestly, I find the text heinous. I do need to push back on that, if only because I think that they introduce a lot of irrelevant information to the scene you're about to watch, and it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Like, it is not just like Will is out here for his dear wife. His dear wife died 11 years ago. He has children, and now they're on a hog farm. And then he learns the Force. And leaves however the movie goes. I already forget.
It's the little Luke Skywalker island.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just Clint Eastwood, but as Luke Skywalker, and everyone's talking to him like he's a bright-faced 18-year-old.
He's a Force ghost.
Yeah. I was going to pick up some power computers.
Drinking blue milk, of course.
Blue whiskey, let's say.
Yeah, sorry. No, he wasn't drinking until the end.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Right, his time spent with his kids is like kind of meant to be the Eden that he falls from, and like I just don't buy that.
Yeah.
I find that I'm back. The text. Like the text introduces just a lot of information that it doesn't help us get to know his family, which is kind of what I needed. And like it introduces a whole other character who does not appear in the movie, like Mrs. Orbazonia or whatever her last name was. I think the mother of his wife, right? Like that character is pretty important to the epilogue of the story, and she shows up in a text.
And the prologue.
Yeah,
like she's a character. She might be one of the few characters in film that is talked about at the beginning and end of a film and is not in it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not good writing. That's it. It's a big example of tell don't show.
We have great examples of writing in this, and we have some really bad ones. Right?
Yeah.
But you think about the story, like how a circle is. So you're leaving this world, right, to come back to this world in a perfect story better than how you left.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get that at all.
No.
We see many things along the way that stop him, and then what he does is instead of going back to the world like that, he jumps back to this world, grabs his shitty self, and brings it home. Like, that's what we have in this story, and that's why it feels so. I don't know. I really enjoy this movie, but
But the things
it's
that
lacking.
It doesn't have the sauce. I feel like it's pretty good, but it doesn't have the sauce.
And this
it's a little dry.
Didn't this win Best Picture? Am I wrong in thinking that?
It was probably nominated for something or other. It might have won something. I don't know. I don't care about the Oscars.
So true. Who cares about?
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers one way or the other. I personally don't care.
Yeah,
about
give
the
him
Oscars.
ad money. This is our own personal opinions, not endorsed by the show.
So it won four Oscars. It won Best Picture. Clint Eastwood also got Best Actor and Best Director. No. He got nominated for Best Actor. He won Best Director. Hackman won Best Actor in a supporting role.
All right.
And then it won for it got nominated for screenplay. So yeah, it got Best Picture.
Well,
in 1993.
that's pretty wild. I mean, and like you said, it's a good movie. It's a very good movie. It's absolutely worth watching.
Yeah.
I think it's just like kind of informative to like kind of walk away from like the critiques we had with it, you know, because like. I think most people know it's a good movie, right? Like, it won awards. You know it's good.
Yeah.
They're coming here for the lowdown on all of the things that we think could be different about it. Or,
100%.
like, at least, like, what we took from it.
Art is never finished. It is only abandoned. And that's what we're doing. We are offering suggestions on how to not abandon it and make it better.
Yeah, we are forgiving the unforgiven, if you will.
Just like Metallica.
But yeah, I mean that's the end of the movie. So
yeah, then he walks away on his horse, and then
I guess we didn't say he kills Little Bill.
Yeah,
I don't know if we said that. He shoots Little Bill.
That's kind of important.
For what it's worth, for like with all of the warts and all with the movie, I do feel like the actual violence in it is like handled pretty well. Like obviously the scene where the first cow. Well, I mean. The opening scene with Delilah, both of the cowboys getting killed. The kid kills the second cowboy while the cowboy's in the outhouse.
Yeah.
Like, that's not like glamorous at all. Like, the kid is freaked out about it. The dude's taking his shit and he shoots him 3 times and kills him. Like, and at the end, like, the kid comes to that while he's slugging back the whiskey. Like, and then when William goes into the bar he says to kill Little Bill for what he did to Ned. That's probably, maybe he just wants to get the rage out. Maybe he wants to indulge in that life again a little bit now that he like has all the whiskey in him and kind of has the excuse of Ned. You do get the.
I feel like it was mostly Ned.
Yeah,
I feel like
you're right.
I feel like
because they are buddies.
Ned was the only guy he had.
Yeah, exactly. Like he just had Ned. Like, and they did at least for what it was worth, they had that friendship.
Well, yeah, I mean, even to the point of, they must have lived close because he told his kids when he left, if there's any issues, go to Ned's house.
Right.
Yeah.
So these dudes have probably been close their entire life.
I just realized his name is Little Bill, like the Bill Cosby cartoon from the early 2000s, and I'm not going to be able to not think about that as we talk about Little Bill going onward.
What about Little B? Can we change it?
Yeah.
LB.
LB.
Yeah, I think
LLB.
Gene Hackman as Little Bill in 1992's Unforgiven.
Yeah, let's stick with that. That's the most accurate.
Yeah, like even like the end, like that shootout in the bar doesn't feel like it is, in the movie and like in a screenplay sense or whatever. It does feel like, all right, you got to have the final battle or whatever, but like it's raining, it's like super dark in there. He shoots the Skinny, the owner of the bar, just shoots him flat out and like.
Yeah.
And then he kills like 5 other guys, including Little Bill, and it doesn't feel like it still feels like dirty.
Yeah, it's not glamorous.
It's not glamorous whatsoever. Like,
and
it's super, like I said, it's super dark, and like you don't even really get like like it's like kind of chaotic, and like the editing of it is like kind of like very just like a lot of quick cuts, like not like Liam Neeson jumping over that fence in one of the Taken movies, but just like it's just like shot in a way where you're like, oh my god, what's going on? Like anybody could be just like blasted away. Like it has that chaos to it that it doesn't feel like he's coming in to save the day and get revenge for his friend. It just feels muddy and dirty and gross.
Yeah. I have to ask you guys while we're at this juncture. Do you think Skinny deserved it?
100%.
He was a piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
He was a big dick to the prostitute.
Yeah, he was their pimp.
He was their pimp, and he says at the beginning that like he considers Delilah and all the other girls as property.
Their property. He has insurance plans on their property.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit about that.
That was
You're absolutely right.
That was Clint Eastwood for the fans.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. But I do think it is worth mentioning that like those prostitutes were probably working there because they didn't have any other options. Sure. And like now that the dude who owns that place is dead, like what are they gonna do?
No, they're gonna stay there. Somebody else will take it over.
I mean, you hope so, right? But like that is gonna put them in a tough position.
But I mean,
no, that is a good point.
Like it's not in support of Skinny, obviously. It's just the fact, like it is worth considering. Like when people are financially dependent on someone like Skinny, just removing Skinny doesn't solve the problem that like they have no source of income.
But that's not why he's gone. Like to us, that's why he's gone. He's not. He's gone because he owns the bar that was using. I mean, I wrote it down. The quote, because I loved the quote. He should have armed himself if he was gonna decorate his bar with my friend. That's why he's dead. Because
you're right.
Had Nate outside or Ned outside as a souvenir.
Yeah, and that is, I feel like that's more a result of like Little Bill, right? Like I just assumed that it was because of the sheriff that the body was out there, not because of Skinny.
I don't know.
Because I don't think Skinny did Skinny really have like any beef with Ned?
No,
like,
but
I don't think they really
was
knew
the
each
sheriff's
other.
puppet. Like
true, the sheriff owned everybody.
Yeah,
was kind of what I was getting from it. Like they put him outside the tavern because that's where people go. That's like it's like putting a head on a spike outside of like a Roman city. Like it's a warning, and that that makes perfect sense why William just blew him away.
Yeah.
Because like he blamed him for that. I don't know. I just think it's another way that like the movie doesn't like take a lot of interest in like what exactly the prostitutes are gonna do now, because like the movie's all about them ultimately. Like it's about their plight. It's like the beginning is literally one of them getting like slit up with a knife. Like it makes you immediately empathize with them because you're like, holy shit, these people they're so powerless.
Well, and now they have even less money too.
Yeah,
like they're out another.
They're out the $1,000 that they gave to this asshole that just like ran into town, blew everyone away, like including their boss, and then just left.
I mean, in my mind, Alice would just take things over now. Like she would be in charge.
I would hope so, and I think you're right. Like there is a like a level of like responsibility that like that character like that she's kind of exuding.
She was a matriarch easily.
Yeah,
easily the matriarch.
Yeah, and I would think so. It would just be nice if the movie showed us a little bit of that.
Yeah,
just seeing what life after William is like, because like it's not really William's movie ultimately. Like it kind of revolves around him, but like. We spend like 60% of the movie not with him.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, like, I do believe a good movie is one that creates things like this where we have these conversations. If they showed us everything, there'd be nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
It'd
be way less nuance to it.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the nuance. Because it's a trope. I mean, it is a trope, but it actually has nuance.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, we watched Mickey 17, and there's a lot of tropes with no nuance.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Bong Joon-ho's worst movie. But it's still a 7. Like, that's like... Bong Joon-ho is
Parasite.
Great. Just compared to everything, Okja, everything else he's done, it's not as good.
Gotcha. Worth it?
I
forget. All right. Well,
no, just the balance of like, of like show don't tell, or like what kind of, that the showbiz thing of like always leaving wanting more. There is a line of like, well, wait, what happened to these people? Right. And just like, oh, I wonder if they did this or this. Like, I feel like there is definitely something like maybe we see one scene of like a young Clint Eastwood, where he shoots someone who's like begging for their life or something. Like, we see him do one fucked up thing, and then maybe like everyone isn't like, you're the stone cold. So we have one less scene where someone is called like a stone cold mean son of a bitch. Like we see one more fucked up thing happen, and then a few less scenes where people talk about it. Like maybe like the scene where English Bob is in the jail, and like maybe we actually see what Little Bill says happened in the bar. Like maybe he like reads it or something. He's like, that's not how it happened. And then just a quick thing, maybe something like that. Or what happens with like, what are all the girls gonna do now that like their fucking boss just got killed? Like, he was a piece of shit and kind of deserved it. Maybe he was a pimp. Like, he wasn't a good guy.
Yeah. Well, no justice for Skinny. Let us be clear.
Yeah, no justice for Skinny. But that is a good question of like, well, are they destitute now? Like, what's gonna happen with them?
Well, and we talked about the idea of not doing flashbacks with young Bill because there's not really any in it.
Yeah.
But how you would fix that is make it, one of the times he falls asleep, make it a dream. Have him like
he has like a nightmare about something he did.
Like you have a dream where it's from his perspective, and there's a dude like on the ground like this, and he just blows him away. Like something simple like that, where we'd be like, oh yeah, we're not supposed to like you,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel like the like it would be tough for a dream because it is like such a naturalistic movie. Like it's like you're literally like sitting next to a guy's shoulder, like on the ground, looking up at him on a horse. Like, your perspective with the camera is always like you're just standing there.
Yeah,
it makes it feel very like natural. Like you're behind the rocks with them, kind of thing. And like having a more like artistic camera, like what a dream sequence would require, I feel like probably wouldn't like fit the movie's vibe too well. But like, I guess that's why I feel like there could have been like just one example within the movie's runtime about him being unforgiven.
Yeah.
And that we actually see, and like you said, not just people repeatedly telling him that.
Why couldn't we have that be the very beginning instead of us seeing him dig the grave for his whatever?
Yeah.
Instead of seeing the words, why can't we just see like that Clint Eastwood blowing someone away, and then it snaps to the future?
Yeah,
like
I feel a very similar way. I think that would have just benefited the movie.
I just want things shown to me. I don't want you to just tell me.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Which is a big part of this movie's problem. Like, it was definitely trying to tell a really big story, and for the most part, it succeeded.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that emotion by the end. I can see like how rotten the world is that like William needs to become this man again. Like how ambiguous everything is, how maddeningly ambiguous everybody's actions are, because like nobody is a hero, and even the most virtuous people are like being they're being like overrun and like beaten nearly to death by the sheriff of a corrupt town. Like that's the world that this movie takes place in.
Yeah. The one I was talking about in 2013 is actually just a Japanese adaptation. It's the same movie, but it's during the samurai era.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, the main character is a samurai instead of a bandit.
Sounds sick.
I would love to watch that.
Yeah, me too, actually. I would love to watch that. So, I mean, just buttoning things up, right? This movie was in theaters for nearly an entire year. It was in theaters for 49 weeks.
Wow.
And it grossed $160 million worldwide. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the budget was. It was a budget of 14. So, it did very, very well. Like we talked about, it won Best Picture. I would argue it's probably one of the weaker Best Picture winners that I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just the fact that there were, like... just the fact that there was so much stuff where we were like, maybe this or that, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I feel like Best Picture, it's a little more locked in and a little more solid throughout. Like I feel like this had moments and things that were really, really well done, and then other things that were kind of clunky and left you asking questions, not in the fun like, ooh, I wonder if this happened, but more like, what is gonna happen next? So
the things that was up against were The Crying Game, Howard's End, Scent of a Woman, and a few Good Men. So pretty weak year
Yeah.
for Best Picture.
I've only heard of that last movie.
Yeah, of A
Oh my
Few
God.
Good Men.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Scent of a Woman, I feel like I know what that is.
That's Al Pacino.
Oh, okay. So,
I
yeah.
think he's like a lawyer. He's like a blind guy.
Okay.
Wasn't he Dunk Pacino in that movie? Or
Yes. It was a seminal role.
Yeah.
Al Dunk Pacino.
His name would be Dunk
Dunkachino.
Pacino, not Dunkachino.
But that's also the year Malcolm X came out. And, okay, so here's your nominees for actor in a leading role. So Al Pacino won for Son of a Woman. Then you also have Robert Downey Jr. for Chaplin.
You got any sounds for him?
No.
Stephen Ray, I don't know who that is, for The Crying Game, and then Denzel for Malcolm X. So that's also the same year Glengarry Glen Ross came out. So I don't know why this won Best Picture. It's fine. It's a fine movie.
Was Glengarry not one of the possible, like, was it not a nominee?
No. This is back when they only had 5 nominees for Best Picture. So now we have 10, right? But yeah, back then we only had 5, and those were the 5. So yeah, but yeah, that's basically everything I have to say. You guys have anything else about Unforgiven you want to talk about?
I'm feeling pretty Unforgiven, to be honest.
I feel Unforgiven. It is good. I'd say it's like a solid 7.
It's a fine 7.
Yeah,
it's a fine 7.
Again, shouldn't be your first Western. I would say, like, watch the big ones. Watch some old spaghetti Westerns. You know, watch Good, Bad, and the Ugly, like Kyle had said. You know, the whole Dollars trilogy.
Yeah.
If you're into spaghetti Westerns and you're into that, I would say, like, pound for pound, they're the best ones out there. They, like, popularized it, and, like, people know them for a reason.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like, they are good if you're into that kind of thing. I would say start with those, and then once you kind of get the tropes and stuff, I would
throw
say
in a
watch
John
this.
Wayne one or two just to
watch The Searchers,
Rio Bravo, you know.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Another great one. That's
which I think we're gonna review that for the show.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah.
I would absolutely. If I may, I would like to be considered for a guest for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
You will be.
All right, sweet.
That movie is the literal opposite of Unforgiven
exactly.
in almost every way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But yeah, the fact that Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid as a movie is in the same genre and like category as Unforgiven but westerns. They're both westerns is hilarious.
A worthy comparison.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. That's Unforgiven. We will be back next week to discuss a pretty odd movie that I'm very excited for. Edward Norton's first ever film, Primal Fear. So we'll be back to talk about that next week. So this has been the Real Friends Podcast. Kyle and Nate, thanks for coming, and
Thanks for having us.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Peace.